Professor Server, how do you see the Bulgarian demands for the Macedonian language and identity, and can such things become conditions for membership in any organization, not just the EU?
They can become conditions for membership in any organization. Essentially, Bulgaria has a veto over Macedonian accession. What bothers me most of all is that these demands are being made so early in the process. They're disrupting Macedonia's progress. Usually these things come up at the very last moment, and frankly, the acceding country usually has to give in. But the smart country that wants to become a member of the EU negotiates these things well in advance and tries to settle them. I think it's most unfortunate to try to settle this type of issue in a political forum. These are issues that academics like me should worry about and come to some kinds of conclusions about, not governments. Governments are ill-equipped to tell their own history. Historians should do that.
You've mentioned the veto from Bulgaria. What effect could this have on the region and the EU enlargement?
Unless you have that incentive in the Balkans, it's hard to picture you're doing all the necessary reforms, which are quite painful. So Macedonia's bad treatment, frankly, first by Greece and now by Bulgaria, is it hurts the momentum, it hurts the prospects in the region. And that's especially important, of course, for Serbia, Kosovo, and Bosnia and Herzegovina, because they're the ones who are in some sense the laggards. And there's no good reason to give these countries discouragement. It's just a mistake. The EU should be giving them encouragement, and in particular Macedonia, which has a government which frankly I believe is seriously committed to EU membership, as it was to NATO membership.
The Czech Republic, Slovakia, and according to some reports, other countries members of the EU have taken up the side for Macedonia and the problem with Bulgaria. Can we see a possible rift inside the EU?
There's definitely a bit of a rift in the EU. That's good for Macedonia. I don't really know whether it's the result of a diplomatic maneuver by Macedonia, but if it is, my hat is off to those who executed the maneuver. But it doesn't really change things, because in the end, Bulgaria does have a veto over the opening of negotiations and over accession. So what I would say is that all of this should be left for later in the process, and you can create some mechanisms now to try to produce some answers that will be satisfactory to both Sofia and Skopje.
1 month from now, the United States are going to have a new administration under President Biden. What can we expect in the upcoming period for the region of the Western Balkans? Because there was a feeling that this region was not in the focus of the United States in the past few years.
Well, clearly it wasn't in the focus, and insofar as it got any attention at all, the attention was not productive because it was done in competition with the EU rather than in cooperation with the EU. You can expect President Biden to pay some attention to the Western Balkans, because this is an area of the world he knows well and has been involved with for a long time. But you've got to understand that it's way, way down the list of priorities. My hope is that President Biden, his State Department, Tony Blinken, who knows Balkans extremely well, will put this in the hands of somebody who will carry the ball forward in the Balkans in cooperation with the EU. And I think the Americans have a strong role to play. I think the EU has a lot of the carrots, the Americans have a lot of the sticks, and together they get what they want in the Western Balkans. Separately, they don't do all that well. So what I would urge first and foremost is a consultation with the Europeans. I don't urge the Biden administration to go first into the Western Balkans and figure out what needs to be done. No, a lot of people know what needs to be done, and the Europeans have, as you can see from the progress reports they publish every year, they have a very good idea of what the issues are. What they don't have is a very good idea of what can be done about them, and that needs to be formulated in cooperation with Washington.
You've mentioned the cooperation between the EU and the US and the carrots and the sticks. Can we expect some kind of pressure by the US down the line towards the EU about Macedonia's EU aspirations?
Yes, I think you can. I think the Americans are very sympathetic to Macedonia's EU aspirations. I think the general sense I get in Washington is that people regard Macedonia as doing a lot of the right things. They did the right thing in settling the name dispute. They did the right thing in qualifying for NATO membership. And I think we can expect Macedonia to do the right things in qualifying for EU membership.
Professor Servер, thank you for this interview.
My pleasure.